Hey, this is part 2 of chapter 33. I got this right now. Part 2. I'm on a roll. Well, I feel horrible, but I gotta do this right now. Now, in the first part, I started to read a little bit off of this blog that I wrote. I talked about my son, Matt, my beautiful boy. I have another beautiful boy. Yeah, I love him too. Don't think I don't. I hate to say it, but I think he took more after me than all my children. And that's probably why I don't see much of him anymore or hear from him. But to be honest with you, when my other child died, their siblings took it pretty hard too. It was a real shock for the whole family, not just me and my family, but my parents, everybody. Everybody in our family was just in shock that Matt had passed. I don't know why, but we just never considered that he would die. You know, we never really thought that Matt would pass away. Whether he was in the army or not, this might have happened. I don't know. But I do know that the president recognized him as a hero, and I have all kinds of documentation about him being a hero. And that's all well and good, but I wrote a blog called My Son, My Hero. And apparently when I sent it to the State Department, because they sent me something and I decided to let them know who Matt really was. And that's the kind of mother I am. You know, I feel like, well, you're sending me stuff, well, now I'm going to send you some stuff back, okay? And I'm going to let you know the facts, the real truth here. So I did. And next thing I know, I get another letter that comes by overnight express, and I got something from the president. And now I'm not going to comment on what he sent me, but the thing from the State Department was pretty neat. I do have to say that whoever works in that office, they have very good hearts. And apparently what I wrote, they apparently said that there was not a dry eye in the office. And they decided to share it with the President of the United States. Well, that was nuts. It really was. So now the President heard about another young man. My son was 34 when he passed, who served his country for almost 10 years. So he's definitely a patriot. No question about that. Now, in this, in the Patriot Act, okay, that's what we've been talking about. I haven't had time to look Russ up, but I will be. I'd like to find out what happened to him. I also, while I've been busy doing my required things for living, excuse me, it's called turn this down time. Oh my goodness, I'm online. Okay, turn this down. Okay, now I did receive in my email some items from some news items. So, boy, our country's busy right now, aren't we? You know, I didn't vote this last election, and the election before that I didn't vote, and I'm going to tell you why. There was no one to vote for. It was that simple. And secondly, as I've written in my 11-page blog, I don't believe my vote will make any difference at all anymore. I do not believe that. Now, that doesn't mean I'm compliant. What I want is change. The last thing is, in my heart, is compliancy. I want change. And that's all there is to it. But unfortunately, I think what has happened to our country, and not just our country, the New World Order routine, the rich man people group that designed this. I have a theory about all that, and believe me, I have researched it. I told a friend of mine about some of the research, and he now is beginning to see what I was talking about. He's beginning to understand now what my blog is going to talk about. One of them. I'm going to write 3. Got 3 major blogs I'm going to write. It's kind of like how we got here, where we're at today, in my humble opinion, from what I've researched. Believe me, I don't have all the facts. How could I? I'm a disabled woman. What I think they're trying to do and where we're trying to go, that's the second blog. And my vision of how I think we can finally get to a world that we've seen filmmakers create. A beautiful world, a wonderful world, a spiritual world. When I say spiritual, I'm not talking about religion. I am talking about what's inside of us for real. The thing that a lot of people associate with religion, but I never do. Not ever. Okay, so anyway, let's get back to this, because this is important. The next part of this is extremely important. Now, I copied this, and I gave credit to the website that I copied it from. I went there, and it's something completely different now. So whoever had this in October, or I don't know what month I wrote it in, so I can't remember, but whoever had this in 2003, they're not there anymore. Okay? But they wrote, it was very good in between areas of the actual law, that they wrote some comments, and they made some very good points. And here's something that they wrote. The implications for online privacy are considerable. For example, the Act increases the ability of law enforcement agencies to authorize installation of PIN registers and track and trace devices. A PIN register collects the outgoing phone numbers placed from a specific telephone line. A track and trace device captures the incoming numbers placed to a specific phone line. A caller ID box is a track and trace device, and to authorize the installation of such devices to record all computer routing, addressing, and signaling information. The Act also extends the government's ability to gain access to personal financial information and student information without any suspicion of wrongdoing, simply by certifying that the information likely to be obtained is relevant to an ongoing criminal investigation. Now, isn't that something? So, literally, we could all be under criminal investigation, okay? My suspicions are that they check everyone, period. We're being put in a big old database right now. Every single American citizen And everybody outside of America who has dual citizenship or whatever, any American that used to live in the United States and has rescinded their citizenship, I believe everybody's being cataloged and put nicely into this big old database. Where we were born, who we married, how many kids we had, what the names of those kids are, their social security numbers, our social security number, which, by the way, your social security number was never, ever intended to be used as any form of identification. But when you get on Medicare, guess what they use? Take one guess. Yeah. Not intended to be used as any form of identification. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. I'm going to tell you right now, for one thing, Medicare hardly pays our doctors anything, okay? It's a joke. Some of these doctors are doing some of us a heck of a favor right now, just to be our doctor. Sometimes I feel so bad for them that I'm tempted to write him a check for what I think he should get. It makes me mad. But here's the other bad deal. Some people think that people like me don't deserve to get anything, don't deserve any care at all, don't deserve anything from the government. Wait a minute, excuse me? I do believe that from the time I was at least 16 years old, I've been paying into the government. I may not have had a real decent job at 16, but I sure did at 17. I can tell you that. And then it went on from there. And even when I was in college, I had to support those kids. I have been paying into the government since I was a middle teens. So don't tell me that I don't deserve it. And on top of that, I have to pay as big amount of taxes as a lot of you do. Trust me. Trust me. And I don't have someone taking 30% out every month. So I have to come up with that amount of money, boom, 15. If I haven't put that money away or made arrangements to do a quarterly payment, I have to pay on April 15th, and that's all there is to it. And boy, do I pay. So don't think for 1 minute that any of us are off of this scot-free, because we're not. And you know, if the government thinks that getting rid of us is going to solve their problems, they have no clue. They really don't. They have not done their homework. They're fools to think that. And I mean it. Watch me, baby, because you're full if you're in the government and you honestly think that. Unbelievable. Now here's something else. In addition to Medicare, I myself and a lot of people who are on Medicare, we have a secondary insurance company. And that insurance company is supposed to pick up the last 20% of what Medicare says it will pay, but won't. I'm only entitled to 80% from Medicare. They pick up the next 20%. Now guess what? I'm going to go ahead and tell you about what I'm paying them. Last year I paid them, I think it was $180 some a month. That's per month. Add that one up. Huh? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm paying that. Me. Not Medicare, me. Okay? Now they're making a huge amount of money and hardly paying my doctor anything. That's pretty sick. That is pretty darn sick. Think about it. That's why I guess I decided the heck with doctors. I only go to the one I absolutely have to. Right now, I just put in a more, what's the term for it? A moratorium, or I don't know. But I decided, the heck with it. I'm just not going to have it. I'm not going to be a part of it anymore. If I get sick, I get sick. I don't know. I do not have a regular doctor at this time. My regular doctor left last September. Sent a letter out to all of us who were going to them and said, well, moving to Atlanta, won't have a replacement for me, so you won't have a doctor right now. Unbelievable, isn't it? But true. But anyway, I know if I just picked up the phone, made some kind of arrangements, I could get a doctor. But they don't like people like me because we're Medicare. Okay. And today I read something about that out of Fox News, as a matter of fact. And it talked about how now, thank you, President Obama, we see how much you care about the disabled and the elderly. Thank you so much. You're such a good guy. The mother of a patriot who died for his country, and you could care less. I bet there's a bunch of us out there. Yep, I'll bet there are a bunch. But anyway, today I read that they're going to pay even less. And you know what? That means that, oh, and I guess the Mayo Clinic doesn't even want to take any of us now. I was going to move to Jacksonville, Florida, because there's a Mayo Clinic there. I was going to try to get some real medical attention. I'll forget that idea after what I just read. I doubt if they'll even give me any medical. Even though a few years ago I went to the Mayo in Michigan. Yeah, that's getting pretty bad around here in this country, let me tell you. It's not a great place to move to. I'd rather live in a foreign country than here. Truthfully, I would. I think my lifespan would be better. Because frankly, I don't think it's going to be pretty good at all. I think it'll be pretty short. Okay? Don't get upset about it. I'm not. I'm fine with it, quite frankly. I live in a lot of pain. Really do. Got a lot of metal in me. When I went on that cruise with my daughter, could never go through any of the metal, sorry, it's me, the metal detectors. I've got 4 titanium stents in my brain, and then I've got 9 levels fused throughout my whole spine. So, sorry, I flunked. They had to do a feel-up way. You know, like I'm going to be bringing in something to kill everybody. Right. Okay. Anyway, actually, they were very good with me. And I got to be honest about that. They were very gentle. And they were very, they were not mean or bad or anything. In fact, they finally got to know who I was. And anytime we left the boat and came back, they were really good about it. Okay, now, so let me tell you what President Obama re-signed into law in 2011. Now, one of his campaign messages was that he was going to, you know, try to get rid of the Patriot Act. Oh yes, I remember that very definitely. It was something that caught my attention. Now I wondered where this young man or gentleman came from, just out of the blue, shows up. Okay? Couldn't figure out where he had come from. Okay? Well, now I know. Researched it. I'll be writing about this. Yeah, don't worry. It's coming up. That's going to be in the second blog, as a matter of fact. Probably a little bit in the first blog, and then a lot in the second. Okay, one thing that I have observed is that it doesn't appear that he follows any of his campaign promises, none that I can see. And I know some people on Google Plus have become angry with me for stating the truth. I can prove it. I'm sorry, And I don't drop people because they write their opinion or they state their opinion. That's their opinion. In fact, I invite people to challenge me. I want you to challenge me. Please do. Please. Because that will make me work towards getting the truth. I will make sure that I put the truth out. Or if I'm not sure that it's the truth, I will tell you that it's not the truth. But I want to be challenged. I really do. So don't dismiss me as your friend just because we don't agree. Please challenge me. Make me work. That's what I need. And you know what? I read that thing that they passed around. I really did like it about the economics teacher. I don't know how many of you have seen it. Very well done. And it talks about the fact that, about socialism and how we need incentives to, keep us going. And a teacher in a college, an economics teacher, did a little experiment where he decided, okay, at one point he would give a happy medium of a B to every student in his class, okay, whether they deserved it on the test or not. Now, I was an A student in college, and I mean an A student. I had a 3.8 GPA in one school and a 3.7 at the Dry. And the 3.7 was because some of my classes didn't move over. My labs were 1 credit short, so they wouldn't accept a few of them. So I had to test out of them, which I did. And unfortunately, a few of the test outs were B's. Okay, that's just life. I just took it. I didn't care. At least I didn't have to take the classes or retake them. But anyway, and I think 1 or 2, I never took the class. I just decided I would try testing out and see how that worked out. It did. Got out. But anyway, so this economics teacher did a number of things. He gave a B one time, and then he gave a D to everybody another time. Then he even gave an F to all the students. So finally, most of the students decided, the heck with this, I'm not even going to try anymore. Okay, now, he literally proved his point, that they needed incentive. He used the grades as his way of proving that. He's absolutely right. We like incentive. When we were children, our parents would give us some kind of incentive in everything we learned how to do as we got older. Think that incentive might change. Maybe we got an allowance for doing our work, okay? But they were trying to teach us a value system, and we in turn most of us did the exact same thing with our children. And, but you know, I'm going to write some ideas about that down. And that's what my third blog is going to be. It's going to be my vision. I think we can get away from all of that. I have a different idea about that. But I think it's going to take a few generations for us to get there. But I'm going to write it up. Some of you may not agree. That's fine. This is my vision. It's my ideas. That's all it is. But now, what I'm going to talk about right now, and there'll be a lot of spirituality in it. Remember, I'm not with any church. I don't believe in that. Not at all. I am of God. I am not of a church. Okay? Now, let's see. Oh, this is a good one. I worked at a bank when the Patriot Act came across the table. Okay? To continue working in the bank, even though I was in the IT department, I had to take special tests that we were given. Now, they gave us our, what do we want to call it, class, so to speak, first, you know, in the, I know that the programming for all of this came from the government. I know that's where it came from. None of our programmers wrote this programming. It probably was given to every single bank and every single employee. I don't care whether you were an administrative assistant or the head of the bank, you had to take it. It was the government's call. Now, if the government or the bank thinks that you're spending your money in a funny way, they will put you on a list. And they will notify the government that you are on that list. At least that's the way it was in 2001, 2002, 2003. And then there was a second list. Now that list was much bigger, more important. That list was one where the bank felt that there was definitely cause for alarm. They gave the bank power to take all your assets in your accounts and turn them over to, I don't know who, Department of Homeland Security. You got me. But they had the power to do that. Makes you kind of afraid to make transactions, doesn't it? At any rate, I'm not. I do anyway. I figure, I'm a patriot, so prove I'm not, because I am. Now, I'm going to read some things by somebody that I truly, looking at the time there, have great, well, let me read you about it, okay? I learned that in school, this was years and years ago, that Thomas Jefferson was a main participant in just about everything that helped us begin our quest for freedom and all the wonderful things we had created in some very simple and small documents. These documents were packed full of wonderful freedoms that no other country at that time had. We could be anything we wanted to be in this new country. I did not have to be born rich to become rich, something unheard of back then. Thomas Jefferson was an amazing man. I have read, seen, and studied him at length. He had his faults like anyone else, but he was a very special man by far. He believed in freedom. He believed in a lot of things that were unheard of. He was a president who was not perfect, and if he had run in the elections today, he would have been slain down. People back then appeared to care about their freedoms and their rights as citizens, not what someone does in their private life. And I have some quotes from him. And there's a little something I'm going to tell you that I discovered in one of the blogs I recently wrote about our democracy. When Thomas Jefferson was sworn into the Senate, I don't know what year it was, I've got it written down, but I can't remember right now. He asked them to use his Quran. Yes, Thomas Jefferson had his copy, I think it was the 1762 copy of the Quran. And he was sworn into office with them using that as his holy book. That was his holy book, the Quran. Kind of different, isn't it? I bet you didn't know that, huh? Yeah, siree. So, I never read anywhere where he said what his religion was. I don't know if you have, but I don't even remember that in my history books, quite frankly. Well, I think now we know. Okay. He was an amazing man, absolutely amazing, and divinely, very divinely inspired, in my humble opinion. Now, the first thing I'm going to read you that he said was, leave no authority existing, not responsible to the people. He said that to Isaac H. Tiffany in 1816. Okay? Then he said, unless the mass retains sufficient control over those entrusted with the powers of their government, these will be perverted to their own oppression and to the perpetuation of wealth and power in the individuals and their families selected for the trust. Whether our Constitution has hit on the exact degree of control necessary is yet under experiment. Thomas Jefferson to M. Van der Kemp, 1812. Now, this one is a real catcher right there. Unless the mass retains sufficient control over those entrusted with the powers of their government, these will be perverted to their own oppression and to the perpetuation of wealth and power in the individuals and their families selected for the trust. Kind of sounds like what's happened today, huh? Does to me. Okay, he says, I sincerely wish we could see our government so secured as to depend less on the character of the person in whose hand it is trusted. Bad men will sometimes get in, and with such an immense patronage, may make great progress in corrupting the public mind and principles. This is subject with such wisdom and patriotism should be occupied. Now, he warns us. He warned us. We didn't listen, did we? He said that to Moses Robinson in 1801. He warned us. That is precisely what has happened. Right there. Bad men will sometimes get in with such an immense patronage. They make great progress in corrupting the public mind and principles. What do you think has happened to us? When they wanted to make the Constitution, as he puts, is yet under experiment, the rest of us were supposed to make it better. Okay? Make it better. I don't think we did. It is inconsistent with the principles of civil liberty and contrary to the natural rights of other members of the society that any body of men therein should have authority to enlarge their own powers, prerogatives, and emoluments without restraint. Thomas Jefferson, Virginia Allowance Bill, 1778. The legislature, ... can neither pass a law that my head shall be stricken from my body without trial, nor my freehold taken from me without indemnification, and when not necessary for a public use. Thomas Jefferson to James Monroe. I think that was 1811. I wrote the wrong date on that one. Laws provide against injury from others, but not from ourselves. Thomas Jefferson, Notes on Religion, 1776. Though that was his feeling, okay? Though that was how he felt about, where laws should go regarding the powers of government towards our acts of injury, right? If we were doing it to ourselves, he felt that, now I'm going to interpret this, I think he felt that that's where government should stay out of it. Okay? So if we commit suicide, it's our business. Why do you think people who are really successful at suicide don't tell anybody? They just do it. I have many friends who have committed suicide. Believe me, I know that. Now, okay. It would be a dangerous delusion for a confidence in the men of our choice to silence our fears for the safety of our rights. Confidence is everywhere the parent of despotism. You'll have to excuse me. I have a problem with my mouth. I have a problem speaking. It's very difficult for me, so please bear with me. It's part of the brain damage I had. It's like having a stroke. In fact, I had a stroke besides the aneurysm, so bear with me. It's taken a lot for me to be able to speak properly, to do a lot of things properly. I shouldn't even be driving a car, but I am. Okay. So free government is founded in jealousy and not in confidence. It is jealousy and not confidence which prescribes limited constitutions to bind down those whom we are obliged to trust with power. Our Constitution has accordingly fixed the limits to which and no further our confidence may go. In questions of power, then, let no more be heard of confidence in man, but bind him down from mischief by the chains of the Constitution. Draft Kentucky Resolutions, 1798. Very simply put, he was saying, that the Constitution that they drafted should be enough to bind people down, dangerous people who would try to overrule the bounds of the Constitution. We have a system set up. 3 levels of government. They are the people who check on each other. It's called checks and balances. When they put this into, it's just amazing that they even came up with this concept that they did. And it didn't take them long. And there really wasn't that much that needed to be changed. Now, there is now. I can see where, and I've read through a lot of the initial Constitution and the initial amendments, why we did make some of the changes that we made in the early years. But nowadays, I'm not so sure we're making good changes about here. Now, I'm not going to read anymore because I'm just having too much trouble, but I did too much today, I'll be honest with you. If I do too much, I shake, my hands shake really bad. My speech becomes difficult. You have to remember that I do have brain damage. It's not that I can't think. Believe me, I can think very well. None of that's gone. It's just getting the words out. Now I can write. That's what makes life easier for me, writing. Keep me in your prayers because I do need it. Keep my family in your prayers because they need it. Just all you have to think about when you pray is Steph's family. That's all you have to do. And I appreciate it. That's the end of part 2, chapter 33. I'm not going to put out any more for a little while. I got to get through my anniversary of my beautiful son, Steph. His anniversary, I believe, and they're not even sure. I have a letter that says it's either the 27th of January or the 28th. It was found on the 28th, and he had already passed. Now, I've written a blog about some amazing things that happened, spiritual things. And people may not believe it. That's your business. I can tell you what you believe. But I can tell you that I don't lie. And things in my life that I've written about, that I've said that happened, they happened. Trust me. Y'all have a great day. Have a great few weeks, and I'll be talking to you soon.